Okay, let's do the chanting straight away. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Tadayambi Sangham saranam gacchami. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the six paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the six paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the six paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from the happiness beyond suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. I shall cause this. Great compassionate Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every types of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all of my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are, I've had to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, I've had to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, I've had to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, I've had to follow it completely. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Tayata Om Gate Gate Para Gate Parasam Gate Bodhi Soham. Tayata Om Gate Gate Para Gate Parasam Gate Bodhi Soham. Tayata Om Gate Gate Para Gate Parasam Gate Bodhi Soha. So now get yourself comfortable for some meditation practice. And initially, we will release any tension that we may have. Free your body, free your mind. So bring your mind inside your body and let's release the tension from the bottom to the top. So releasing the tension from around your toes. From the bottom of your feet, the balls, the arches, the heels. From the top of your feet. And around your ankles and Achilles tendons. Now release the tension from your lower legs, calf muscles, around the shins. Remember, try to keep your body still while we're meditating. Including the face. And release the tension from all around your knees. And your upper legs. The hamstrings and the quads. And from around your midsection. From your hips and glutes and groin. And release from your lower back. Just above your hips and your sides. And your lower abdomen. Slowly working your way up your body. Further up your sides, further up your abdomen, and up to the center of your back. And release now from your chest area, underneath your arms as well. And your upper back. Release from the rhomboid muscles and the lateral muscles. And up to your upper trap muscles that are between the neck and the shoulders. And also from your shoulders. And from your upper arms, biceps and triceps. And release from all around your elbows and forearms, wrists and hands, fingers and thumbs. Now bring your focus up to your neck and release from all around your neck. And from the back of your head and sides of your head, around your ears and temples. And now release the tension from all around your face, around your cheekbones and cheeks. Make sure you're not clenching your jaw. Release from your chin and your mouth, inside and outside. And release from your nose, and sinuses, and eye sockets and eyes. And from your forehead. And finally, the crown of your head. So now briefly scan your body from the bottom to the top once more, quickly. And if there's any leftover tension, you can release it. And now bring your focus to the tip of your nose initially. And the object of the meditation, as per usual, is the feeling of the breath. So focusing on the feeling of the breath as you breathe in your nose. Follow the feeling as you breathe all the way into your lungs. As the air enters and fills your lungs, they expand. Therefore, the stomach rises a little. As you breathe out, the lungs compress. Therefore, the stomach drops a little. And the air leaves the body the same way, of course, as you breathe in. So breathing in your nose all the way into your lungs, back out your nose again. You may notice that as you breathe in, the air is quite cool as it passes your throat. And as you breathe out, it's quite warm as it passes your throat. You can also count the breaths as well. Counting the breaths, one in-breath, one out-breath is one, and so on. You can count up to 10, not past 10. And if you get distracted on the way towards 10, go back to 1 at that time. And as we are meditating on this feeling of the breath, your mind is inside. So we're engaging the 4 foundations of mindfulness. The body, the feelings, the mental feelings, the mind, the activities of the mind, the practice itself. So if any thoughts arise or any other mental activities arise, don't cling to them or grasp at them or try to force them away or deny them, but simply naturally replace your mind back onto your breath. And as you do so, letting go of these mental activities. And if your mind becomes dull or sleepy, then wake it up a little bit by replacing your mind back onto your breath more brightly. So let's practice like this in silence for a little bit. Now we can feel pleased with ourselves and fill ourselves with universal loving kindness. Utilizing the visualization technique of filling our whole being with the white light, which represents the universal loving kindness. Visualization can help with the feeling of the practice, really feeling yourself filled with universal loving kindness, with friendship and acceptance and forgiveness, appreciation and respect, and so on. And if you find it hard to visualize, that's fine. Just go with the feeling. Or do the best you can, you know. Like I said, it's there to help, not as a thing in itself. Visualize yourself full of this universal loving kindness, so full now that it overflows and radiates outwards. So the white light leaves your heart center and enters into the heart centers, initially of your loved ones, family and friends in front of you, that you visualize in front of you, filling their whole being with the white light too, therefore universal loving kindness. So the universal loving kindness we are developing more and more ourselves by radiating to initially our loved ones, and then other living beings, and over vast distances throughout infinite space eventually. This helps us to develop more and more loving kindness. But as you visualize these beings, these people, in this case, in front of you now, they also are developing this universal loving kindness more and more and more. So you have this feeling as well. You wish that they are happy, free from suffering, and are peaceful. And now you can include strangers as well and do likewise. And also those we may regard as enemies and do likewise. Now let's radiate this universal loving kindness to all sentient beings. Initially around your immediate area, those sentient beings that live in the waters, on the land, fly through the air, whether born from wombs, eggs, moisture, or through transformation. Whether weak or strong, great or small, short or tall, seen or unseen, near or distant, born or to be born. May they all be happy, free from suffering, and to be peaceful. They are filled with this white light. Now radiate this loving kindness to all sentient beings throughout your whole state or county. And all of the states and counties throughout your country. And all of the countries throughout the world, as well as all the bodies of water, such as the oceans. Radiate down to the core of the earth and to the outermost atmosphere. Now beyond this planet alone, radiating this universal loving kindness, radiating this white light throughout the whole solar system. And all of the solar systems throughout the galaxy. And all of the galaxies throughout the universe and beyond, Have your loving kindness pervade throughout infinite space. So infinite space is filled with the universal loving kindness. Of course, there's no filling, is there? Or lack of filling, because it's infinite. Full of universal loving kindness, universal compassion and joy and equanimity. So let's recite the dedication prayer. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious bodhicitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May the born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And may the precious view of shunyata, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And so we will continue. I will continue to introduce these Zen teachings to you. And we will finish them probably in a couple of weeks, I'd say. So I'm going to pick it up from what we were talking about last week, to do with those teachings, those poems that were written on the wall in the temple of Master Huineng's Master's Temple, the fifth patriarch. Huineng is the sixth patriarch of Chinese Buddhism. And so just to reiterate, the master of the temple was looking for the person to take over the temple, to hand on the lineage to. And he asked them to write a verse on this wall. And saying him, the leader, the lineage. So he was the lineage holder, the head monk in that lineage, lineage, you know. So of course, there's no winning or anything. So I'll read it to you, and then I'll speak about it a little bit, and then continue onwards. The body is the tree of awakening. The mind is like a clear mirror. At all times, we must strive to polish it and must not let the dust collect. So this poem is a distilled portrait of the Buddhist monastic impulse. The role of the monk was to strive through various practices, but particularly meditation, to free his mind from defilements that distorted his view of reality. Ignorance, thus dispelled, awakening would ensue. The other monks were duly impressed and certain that the head monk would be designated the master's successor, immediately committed the poem to memory so that they could continue to recite it as they went about their monastic duties. Overhearing this poem, Huineng composed a poetic response that he had a literate monk record for him on the same corridor wall. Awakening originally has no tree. The mirror has no stand. Buddha nature is always clean and pure. Where is there room for dust? Huineng's verse called into question the most basic of monastic practices, including meditation, or more to the point, their motivation, the purification of the mind. This so impressed his master that he passed the robe and bowl to Huineng, though in an atmosphere of great secrecy. This legend sounds most of the themes that come to characterize Chan Buddhism in its assault on the Tang establishment. Many of these same themes are echoed in Zen Speaks. Huineng's illiteracy and his apparent lack of exposure to scripture or commentaries stand out in stark contrast to the rich literary, scholarly training of Shenxi. Not only is Huineng illiterate, but his duties as a common laborer place him at the periphery of the monastic institution, and for that matter, of respectable status in Chinese society at large. He hardly functions as a monk at all, since he appears not to study scriptures or meditate, nor does he memorize and recite the scriptures. No idle knowledge here, just everyday truth. But when called upon, his undefiled mind shone forth with overwhelming brilliance. Not only did Huineng's poem call monastic practices into question, implicit in its focus on mind was the Chan disdain of body cultivation practices. More important than what is said, the kind of person he was characterized as being called into question the grand monastic establishment of Tang China with its scholar monks and monopolistic claim on knowledge. That the legend was rhetorical and not to be taken as a model for behavior is clear from what we know of Chan monks, including the compilers of the legend. Most were, in fact, quite literate. They demonstrated an informed knowledge of most of the important Buddhist scriptures, and they practiced meditation. To be unaware of this fact is to risk missing the point of the legend, not to mention the anecdotes in this book. One of its earliest functions was to cast doubt on the knowledge claims of the Changang Buddhist elite, and hence on their authority and power. It was, in fact, a play for power, pure and simple. But that, as it may, the legend established a set of themes that became fundamental to the way Chan developed and understood itself in later Chinese history. All of these themes are rooted in a particular understanding of wisdom as something opposed to mere knowledge. Yeah, so it's obviously best to have the wisdom, the penetrative insight, than just knowledge, even though knowledge of the Dharma scriptures, commentaries, and so on, is of utmost importance on the path to enlightenment. But it is the wisdom that it points to that is really important, the most important. In fact, I should say utmost important, okay? So the knowledge is good, fantastic. But not just the knowledge of the scriptures, but the knowledge into the meaning of the scriptures, the knowledge in how to practice and realize the truth that these scriptures are pointing towards. Not just hang on to this knowledge, but to actually utilize it, practice the Dharma, and realize the truth for yourself. Okay, so I was going to give one of the teachings, but I know it's actually in here, so and in the book, and then I'll give commentary on it when it actually comes, okay, when we get to it. But I won't elaborate any more on that. We're doing for time. Okay, so I think we'll get to part of the next bit done as well. So this embodied scripture. A common theme in this literature is the misdirection of most scholarly effort in its excessive speculation and verbose explications. Some effort was regarded as misdirected for at least two reasons. On a theoretical level, it failed to take seriously some of its fundamental doctrines. On a practical level, it was said to be counterproductive. The doctrine of emptiness, referred to several times in Zen Speaks, was one of the principal teachings carried by Buddhist monks into China. Ironically, it was one of the most difficult to understand, growing as it did out of the complex philosophical debates that took place in India 400 years after the Buddha's death. Though its philosophical complexities were probably understood by only a minority of people in the Tang period, it had an immense influence on the development of Chinese thought and practice. I'll add here that the Heart Sutra, one very long stanza, is like a compressed teaching of all of the Mahaprajna Paramita scriptures. And it is said that we have the longest one that we have existent in the world today is about 100,000 stanzas long. Of course, the stanza can be very short, only a few lines, but it also could be some pages, like the length of the Heart Sutra, for instance. So, of course, the longer ones give more detail, maybe more repetitive as well. And then, of course, I think there's 10,000 stanza. I've read that one and commentary on it. I think maybe 8,000 stanza, and there's other ones as well. Going down to the shorter ones, for instance, the Diamond Sutra is 32 stanzas. And of course, like I said, the Heart Sutra is this one long stanza. And it can be compressed even further into the mantra, gate gate pada samgate bodhisoha. Okay, so, and if you could even compress it even further to ha, and then beyond that to silence, when the wisdom is realized, isn't it? Then through compassion, you can express it and teach it to others, teach others how to realize it for themselves. So the Heart Sutra, basically there's two versions that I've studied, come across. There's one is slightly longer with a prologue and epilogue. Then like setting up of the assembly and the circumstances, and also the dispersing of the assembly and finishing up, And the one that we chant and we've studied, actually it's just got the teaching part in the middle, even though the prologue and epilogue is also teachings. It starts from Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva when practicing deeply in Prajna Paramita and so on, finishes up with the mantra. So the Tibetan one has the prologue and epilogue, and the Chan one doesn't have those. Okay, so it's even a little bit shorter than the Tibetan one. Don't let that confuse you, okay? How we're doing. 4 minutes left. Without going into the philosophical intricacies of the emptiness doctrine, we can simply note here that it led to a form of radical non-dualism. The implications of this view were that, in theory, distinctions between wisdom and ignorance, the mundane and transcendental realms, sacred and profane, mind and matter, were dualistic and hence unjustified. This non-dualism coincided with another teaching entering China at the same time, namely that all beings were born with Buddha nature, a doctrine maintaining that wisdom is innate in all beings. The question follows that if one has Buddha nature, and if ignorance is not different from wisdom, why isn't everyone wise and Buddhas? A simplified answer would be that we all are wise, but that we simply aren't yet awake. Sanskrit, Buddh, from which comes the word Buddha, the awakened one. Thus, one shouldn't need to be told what emptiness or the truth is, since we are already all in full possession of that. What is necessary is to wake up. However, in practice, many of the same teachers who lectured on emptiness engaged in and encouraged the study of scriptures in order to gain wisdom. They taught techniques for escaping this world and being reborn in Pure Land. They engaged in meditation in order to escape from impure, defiled states of mind into a pure, blissful state. Hence, implicit in these practices was a dualistic understanding. It was clearly the case that for most, the view of emptiness remained just that, a view that conflicted with their dualistic approach to practice. In reaction to this, the Chan monks attempted to align their practices with their understanding of the Buddhist notion of emptiness. how they did that is what Zen speaks is about. So we don't have time to finish off this little area here, so I think I'll drop it there because the next paragraph is quite long. So I'll pick this up. What is the date next week? The 11th. Little note for myself. Picture of Dalai Lama again. Shinrizi. It is said that the Dalai Lama is the emanation of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, in Tibetan known as Chenresis. What do you call? Jangshup Sempa. Jangshup means like awakened, enlightened, bodhicitta. And Sempa means sentient being. And Chenrezi, like I said, is the translation of Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of great compassion, known as Kuan Yin, or Kuan Yin in Chinese, Kuan Nam in Japanese, I think, or Kuan On, and Kuan Nam in Vietnamese, and so on. Okay, that'll do. So I hope you enjoyed this introduction, very detailed. I'm adding